Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Well, you know it's that time of the week again. Yes, it's Theo Usherwood's PMQ's post-mortem. And usually before PMQ's usually starts, it's both James and Theo usually go down the route of trying to work out what route Keir Starmer and Ian Blackford are going to go down in their line of questions. Now, did Theo Usherwood get it right? Well, let's find out.
24 minutes after 12 is the time, and absolute vindication of Theo Usherwood's political analysis about PMQs, because you were entirely right to suggest that he would go in on cost of living in general and fuel prices in particular, and I was entirely wrong to contend that he would focus instead upon the refugee crisis.
But perhaps indicative of where we find ourselves in our politics right now, that the leader of the opposition doesn't want to talk about refugees, or doesn't want to question the Prime Minister about refugees, potentially, rather concentrate on the cost of living crisis facing voters in this country. And you were saying earlier that
it was
maybe
a Tory backbencher. It was Julian Smith.
And the answer to Julian Smith was significant.
Go on.
Because in his answer to Julian Smith, the Prime Minister said it's going to be open to every family in this country to access the humanitarian routes to sponsor Ukrainian refugees to come to this country. So just to outline the two routes, you firstly had the family route, which was widened from 100,000 to more than 200,000 in terms of being able to bring siblings, grandparents, parents, and any child, regardless of their age, to the UK. You then had this humanitarian sponsorship route, which we thought, and this was as part of the announcement, was only going to be open to companies. And this is where Kevin Foster's tweet caused such consternation, because the idea was that if you're a company and you need a new lorry driver, or if you're a company and you need...
Here's a refugee fleeing war that can pick cucumbers.
Exactly. But what the Prime Minister has just told the House of Commons is that actually it's not just going to be open to companies to bring refugees to this country. If you want a Ukrainian refugee to come and live with you, you will have the opportunity to sponsor them to do so. Now, who is going to pick up the bill for that? Are we going to have the details of whether
Could he have misspoken?
No, he was absolutely clear.
Yes.
And usually when it comes, and just this is the nitty-gritty politics of it, when you get somebody like Julian Smith, a former chief whip, asking a question in the Commons, you know that one's coming, and you're going to make sure that you have a decent answer for them, especially as they carry so much weight amongst their own Conservative MPs in the House of Commons. So he did, and that is a significant step on from where we were previously. Michael Gove, as you heard there from Boris Johnson, is going to be making that announcement in the coming days. But again, we need the detail of it. But who's going to...
So the impression you got was that it would apply to all Ukrainians, not just those with family here.
Yes, but we always knew it was going to apply to all Ukrainians. The difference from what was previously...
I understand what you're saying would be that families can sponsor, individuals can sponsor, not just businesses. So, yeah, you could bring someone here and support them. They wouldn't have to necessarily go out and pick carrots, as that Kevin chap was essentially suggesting in a tweet that he quickly and embarrassingly deleted. And then
we go back to Keir Starmer,
yes, exactly,
because you made the point, James, that from the Prime Minister's answer, Keir Starmer knew that a U-turn was coming, because the Prime Minister was very careful, wasn't he, in the way he replied to Keir Starmer, saying a U-turn is the last thing we want. He didn't rule out a U-turn, because of course we've got the budget coming up in a couple of weeks' time. He just said that we don't want a U-turn, i.e. we can still U-turn, but we just don't when it comes to providing more support.
You're seeing as you're in full Nostradamus mode today.
So there are a number of areas where it can be in terms of providing more support to families struggling, namely the national insurance increase, which is due to kick in April. That's something that Conservative MPs are very unhappy about. We've then got VAT on petrol. Of course, VAT is on top of what you pay in terms of taxes on unleaded and on diesel. And we're likely to see, well, we have seen already the price go well above 150 a litre for unleaded, 160 for diesel. That's something that would help at the moment. But it's worth, of course, noting that the fuel duty raises a significant amount of money, and we're talking billions, 12 billion odd, for the Treasury. So the money would have to be found from somewhere. That's one possibility. And then, of course, the Chancellor has already announced these sort of loans where you have to pay back the support that you're receiving this year to cope with rising energy bills. But of course, if energy bills continue to rise, you're going to have to pay the energy bill back with the bill that's rising.
They've got to do something.
Because this is when you speak to Conservative MPs, this is what they, especially the Conservative MPs who have families that in constituencies which often go outside of the home counties, which often are traditionally Labour, red wall seats. People are struggling, and they're not seeing they're necessarily getting any support from the government with their daily spends on everything from getting the petrol to fill up the car to take the kids to school, or their tax bill is going to go up, depending on how much you earn, of course, by 10% in national insurance contributions from next month.
Well, it seems our Theo should, when it came to the line of questioning, he was pretty much bang on the money, wasn't he? What Theo said about his answers to Julian Smith's question, was very, very interesting. You could tell he was trying to be very clear in giving an answer. And let's be honest here, what I found interesting when it comes to this cost of living crisis, it's clearly obvious that there is going to be a U-turn coming, isn't there? Keir Starmer knows it, and Bodger clearly knows it. And what Theo had to say afterwards I thought was very, very interesting indeed at the end. Right. I think I've bored you enough with my dreary voice. But, let me know what you thought about this. Let me know what you thought about this week's PMQs. Did Keir get it the line of questioning right? Should he have gone down the Ukraine refugee route like Ian Blackford did? What do you think? Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.